listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the online Sports Guys college football podcast featuring us, the online sports guys. And as you can tell by the two Johns here, both who are not at their normal place of residence when we do the show,
Careful.
this is the traveling episode of The Review, where we talk a little bit about what happened in the week that was in college football, and we talk in this. We will also talk about the upcoming week, and don't forget everybody's favorite segment, college football on a budget, where we tell you where you can go see the best college football action for the price of a cold beverage of your choice. Not that
Best. Okay, sure. Why not?
Guys, I'm going to
best.
go ahead and just start with the upsets because there were some pretty shocking and some not that big of a surprise. I'll start off with the biggest one of all. Winless heading into the game, UCLA hosted Penn State, who was a little bit banged up after playing Oregon and losing at home, then having to travel across country to play in Los Angeles. UCLA gets the win. They get on the board. They're 1-1 in Big Ten action, actually ahead of Penn State now, after a 42-37 win.
Is this where you insert the laugh track?
Yeah. I mean, aside from the humor of this, is this something that I know I didn't see it coming. Did you?
No.
Let me say we just crossed from Maryland into Pennsylvania, so I wouldn't speak too loudly. There's a very angry populace here coming to central Pennsylvania, but what we talked about in the past in the Big Ten, going from east to west or west to east, I don't care who you're playing, it's tough to deal with, and especially after Penn State went there against Oregon, they clearly weren't ready when the game started.
I'm not sure they were really ready when the game finished either.
I was waiting for that.
UCLA did get out big on them, 27-7 at the half. Penn State kind of made a little bit of a comeback in the second half, but they were exposed here. If they weren't exposed during the Oregon game, they were sure the heck exposed here. Most people had Penn State arguably winning the Big Ten and possibly being a national title contender. I don't think that's happening.
Oops.
The good news for them is that they still get to play Indiana and Ohio State. So despite the debacle out there in Los Angeles yesterday, there is time to make. There's no margin for error now, but they have a chance to make up for it if they get their act together.
They're going to drag everybody else down with them. It's the only chance they have.
Or end up as a team with 4 losses.
Oh, no, not that.
UCLA quarterback Nico Iamaleava.
Get it right.
That. Finally lived up to a little bit of the hype after transferring in or portaling in from Tennessee last year. He went 17 for 24, $166 and 2 touchdowns, but the bigger number, 16 carries for 128 yards and 3 touchdowns. The guy counted for all 5 of UCLA's scores.
For once, you got what you paid for, $294 in total offense, and they couldn't have come at a better time.
It was interesting. The end of the game, there's a shot of new UCLA offensive coordinator Jerry Neuheisel getting carried off on his player's shoulders.
Absolutely. He absolutely should have. That was fantastic by the kid.
Although his Neuheisel family hair did stay in place.
Oh, he's blessed with the lettuce. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, and I don't know if you saw this, but CBS Sports, in their social media wisdom, was running the cameras in the studio as the game was ending. And his dad was in studio for network, wearing very subtly, but he was wearing his UCLA colors. and he was there supporting his son. But they had the last play of the game. They had Rick ISO'd in studio, and he's basically jumping up out of his chair and he's yelling and screaming, as a proud father should. It was a great moment for the new Heisels there, and well deserved. I mean, the kid called a hell of a game.
Yeah, obviously he did something. He finally figured out what to do with a um, highly rated quarterback with lots of accolades heading in. Got the most out of him. The
Mm-hmm.
other big surprise of the day, the preseason #1 Texas Longhorns traveled down to the swamp and they left really wet. Florida gets the win 29-21.
I'm just cackling, but I'm really probably in no place to cackle. So go ahead, Sly.
Well, I mean, it's tough sledding on the road. Florida is desperate, and it was now or never. We saw this last year with Florida when it really they were up against it. They played their best. I don't know if this is the start of something, to finish the year, or if it's just they were in a good spot against Texas. But clearly, um, Arch Manning is the #1 overall pick in the draft. It is
Mm,
officially at
no.
this.
Arch Manning clearly needs a lot more experience before we could even consider him being a #1 pick in the draft.
Okay,
Florida
so here's
quarterback
yeah.
DJ Lagway easily outplayed him. Lagway going 21 for 28, couple of touchdowns, including a pretty spectacular 55-yard pass to Dallas Wilson.
But that's what DJ Lagway can do. They did this last year when Lagway started games. Basically, okay, hey kid, we know you're athletic. Go ahead and go Roscoe, Leroy Jenkins on the whole thing, and you go from there. It's clear that they ended up trying to do the same thing with him against Texas. And you see the raw ability that is there for DJ Lagway. That is not in dispute. But when you force him to think, then you see what the issues are with him and his inexperience behind center in the Southeastern Conference. Just wing it and go, and you see the benefits of it. And you saw it against Texas. Arch Manning, by the way, 16 of 29, 263, 2-2, and he was the leading rusher for the team. 37 of the 52 yards rushing on the day for Arch Manning. So those are a bunch of things that really that they don't need to add up. And if you're trying to get a win on the road in the Southeastern Conference.
It was interesting. Florida had talked about being able to run the ball, move the ball. They got Jaden Baugh got 27 carries, 107 yards. That kind of made the difference. And really, guys, that was the thing with Florida. Their defense was never in question. Their defense is big time. It's whether they could actually score points. And this time they did.
457 yards of offense on the day. So, um, I mean, look, take this formula, run with it, and see what happens for the remainder of the season. But I would anticipate that this tape will be seen by a lot of other folks on Texas's schedule going forward.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, is Texas even going to make the playoff at this
Oh,
point?
they will, because they're a brand name. I mean, Sly, you can't keep Mercedes Benz out of the garage if you have the opportunity to put them in the garage. It doesn't matter what the car looks like; it's still a Mercedes Benz.
Maybe. I mean, it depends how it plays out. Um, Texas still has a lot to get through before getting to that point. The SEC, every week they've got a legitimate shot to lose. I don't really see them be a clear favorite over too many teams in the league at this
Yeah,
point.
you look at their schedule. They've got up next is the Red River rivalry.
Uh,
Though Oklahoma
yeah.
is without John Mateer, so that may make a difference. But
Mhm.
Texas still has to go to Athens to play Georgia and has a game against Texas A&M to wrap up the season. So you're looking, there could potentially be 4 losses in there.
See Penn State, record.
Yeah. Also, reinforcing the virtue or lack thereof of preseason polls.
There's virtue in preseason polling. Come on now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what makes all of us go. That's what brings us to the table every single week is preseason polls.
And now we move on to the
You just
game
saw
that
what, oh, that's quickly. That video you just saw was Katie flipping off the person next to us. You saw that in the camera shot.
oh, please,
Like,
no
can we?
road rage while we're recording.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm thinking. My guess is I'm thinking that this was a well thought out. This was a well thought out and placed finger because of context. This was not just something random that Katie put out there for folks just because because you crossed the state line. There was thought involved here.
And here it was. I thought it was a reaction to us talking about Texas getting beat.
No, no, no. That's probably the next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Florida Gator. I tried to do the chop, but the finger came up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to
All right,
talk
go
about the next
Come on.
game I got to talk about is probably going to make Mr. Nelson less than happy. But
Mr. Nelson's already less than happy, so I don't know what else you think you can do here.
yeah, we had another rivalry game this weekend. Miami traveling up to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. Miami gets the win 28-22, holding off a furious finish by the Seminoles. Guys, I got to say, I think Miami might be your new number one team at the end of this week. At the end of this weekend.
Okay, so here's my response, and I'm going to need some audience participation here. Sly, could you turn the camera a little bit to the side? And Katie, could you please reinforce the movement that you had earlier to the car? That one, thank you. Yes. So there you go. Thank you. So I was looking for.
Is that all that needs to be said?
Well, about them being the new number one team. Continue with your points.
I think you could make a pretty darn good argument of it at this point in the season. They may not end up finishing there, but
Well, we could settle it if Ohio State goes in and lays an egg at Illinois next week. They drop out of the number one ranking.
Carson Beck, 20 for 27, 4 touchdown passes. That's a pretty efficient game, but I will give Tommy Castellanos major props. I did watch the fourth quarter of the game, and it was not for lack of effort. If there's
Katie,
a takeaway for
please.
Florida State from this game, it's the fact that they did not stop playing after being down.
But how much of that legitimately was Miami trying to run out the clock and just trying to get out of town?
I don't know. I mean, didn't look like they quit on defense.
Well,
Florida State had the ball most of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, because Miami was trying to get out of town. They didn't. It's like, look, we got a 2.5 touchdown lead. We're trying to get out of here. It wasn't that close. It was not that close. Early on, you saw play calling that had Miami on their heels. You had Usman Chroma, the freshman running back out of Lee County, getting some substantive yards off of left guard and tackle. You can't have 3 turnovers against Miami.
No.
You can't have timely penalties against Miami, especially on a 4th and 1 when you line up in the neutral zone, trying to get the ball back. You cannot do that. I don't know if this is in the rule book anywhere, just in rules of engagement for college football, but you cannot line up in the neutral zone if you're trying to get the ball back on a 4th down and 1. Because that is a 5-yard penalty, and then that means that drive that you're trying to stop continues because you lined up in the neutral zone. I'm just saying.
5-yard penalty, first down.
Sly, if you could turn your camera once again, Katie, I'm gonna need your finger. Thank you. Yeah, just that basically sums up about 3.5 hours of watching this game.
I agree.
It was. I'm there for the sake of not giving this show an E rating. I'm trying to restrain basically every fiber of my person.
Just bleep yourself.
I'm with you.
You don't want me to know, because then that makes too much editing time and then the show doesn't get out because you're going to be bleeping like every 3 seconds. And that's
No,
not really
instead of the curse word, just say bleep.
No, because that loses the emphasis of what I'm trying to say and everything.
Not really.
It'd be like Dr. Evil when he was on the Jerry Springer show.
It's just, it is the mere fact
John, just say it.
No. The mere fact that I now have to, and look, this is 40 years of hatred that I have with this rivalry.
Oh my
And
goodness.
if you watched the midweek show, or if you listened to the midweek show, where I got one of my best friends, Tom Block, who's sideline reporter for the football game, I went into that segment with a bunch of agita. I mean, literally, it was you're having flashbacks of wide left and wide right, and I can name the kicker ever since Derek Schmidt and Richie Andrews, and go all the way through Javier Beitia. I can name these kickers. This is what this game means, and the mere fact that I now have to sit and wait for another 51 weeks with all of this nonsense, where Michael Irvin, the player on the sideline, on his team's sideline, when the game was over, took off the belt he was wearing around his pants and decided that he was going to take that leather strap and beat the brick wall that is now the edging on the new Doak Campbell Stadium. He gave a whipping to a brick wall with a leather belt. I want that video played in the athletic offices on loop for the next 51 weeks as a reminder of what they did in your house. That's what I get to live with for the next 51 weeks, because the offensive line could not contain the pass rush of the University of Miami coming out of the blocks, and it forced Thomas Castellanos into decisions that he's not traditionally set to make. They stopped the running game after that first drive, forced Thomas Castellanos to beat him with his arm by keeping contained and putting pressure on him. So this was a learning experience for Florida State for the games going forward in the Athletic Coast Conference against those low down dirty cheaters from the University of Coral Gables. But I have to live with this now for the next 51 weeks. This is unacceptable for me. And when the head coach of the University of Coral Gables ends his interview on television by going state champs and walks off, I have to live with that for another 51 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
That is what I get to deal with now.
That
is what everyone that wears garnet and gold has to deal with now.
I just want to know if Michael Irvin had a relapse or something.
No, I mean, I don't know. This is what this means. The four-letter network spent 2 episodes on 30 for 30 on this school. If it had been Ken Burns, it would have been 4 quarters, and he probably would have used incongruent video. But that's what this rivalry means. And for the next 51 weeks, I have to put up with all of this nonsense about an offensive line that couldn't keep contained, a running game that couldn't get going after the first drive, and committing 3 untimely turnovers and penalties that you shouldn't make. The fourth quarter was an uphill battle, and I would say that Miami let them more into the game because we were this close to one of the worst bad beats known to mankind in a big rivalry game in quite some time. But you kick a field, it's a 2-possession game. You kick a field goal instead of going for the touchdown when you're close inside the 30-yard line. It can go either way. I know that you're getting points on the board. You're hoping to recover the onside kick either way, but you decide that you're going to kick a sad field goal. The perception that you kick a sad field goal to get it to a 1-possession game instead of going for the touchdown because it's a 2-possession game anyway, this is what we have to put up with for the next 51 weeks.
I would have done the same thing he did if I was coaching. You still got to score a touchdown.
Look, you're going down anyway, and the offside and the onside kick rules are so damn different now anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, go for it, go down swinging. Just go down swinging instead of sad field goal. Look, I get it. It's a 2-possession game. I know that you can go either one of 2 ways. But now I get to live with this for the next 51 weeks. And God help us when it comes to playing up against the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus.
All righty then.
I yield the balance of my time.
Okay. We'll move on now. Some other games to mention, and that's about it. Ohio State cruises. They beat Minnesota 42-3. Oklahoma, your number 5 team, although I don't know exactly why they're the number 5 team in the country. They win over Kent State 44-0. Again, not a game worth getting into. Texas A&M gets down 3-0 in the first quarter to a pretty solid Mississippi State team, ends up winning the game 31-9. Yeah, A&M's pretty good, but they still really haven't faced a challenge. Speaking of challenges, the Fighting Pavias traveled down to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. Diego's winning streak against the Crimson Tide has come to an end as Alabama gets the win 30-14. I'm going to throw this one out there to you. I would say right now, Ty Simpson may be your best quarterback in college football.
Fly, take it.
Well, it proves that if you're going to lose early. And Alabama certainly got exposed week one, but it's done it. I agree that the quarterback has been to the point where that they can beat anybody. And so, you know, the fact they got their heads handed to them by Florida State week one or week zero, whichever it was, probably was the best thing that happened to them. And the sky's the limit for them, unfortunately, this year.
Yeah, and it's also proof, again, much like preseason polling, that your first game really is not that much of an indicator of how good or how bad you're going to be over the course of a season. Moving on down the list here, Texas Tech big over Houston, 35-11. No big surprise there. However, a big surprise in the next game, Iowa State, who had won 5 games going into this game against Cincinnati in Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium. Cincinnati walks away with a win 38-30 after scoring 31 points in the first half.
Yeah, that's the key. Iowa State gets out of the block slow, and they were fighting uphill the entire time after getting down by that large margin. And you can't do that. You can't do that on the road. You just can't, especially in conference play. You just can't do that. And now it's another lesson for Matt Campbell and Iowa State for the remainder of the season. Something you cannot do for 500.
And we've been saying for weeks now that in the Big 12, you never know week to week which team is going to beat whom. Cincinnati's found a hot streak here on offense the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
They're on a heater.
They are on a roll. Michigan, they get back their coach, Jerome Moore. They cruise over Wisconsin 24-10. I think Luke Fickell might be looking over his shoulder here pretty soon. Yeah. Notre Dame with a win, 28-7 over Boise State. And then we got to talk about the next game. Illinois traveling to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Luke Altmaier, another big game for Illinois.
So this is sort of what John talking about Miami and Florida State. Inexplicably, Illinois lost 15 out of 20, the last 20 to Purdue. And I despise them as much as John despises Miami. So thank God they went in there and got the job done. They're not stopping anybody, but they're stopping others enough so that they can get their offense back on the field and do what needs to be done. But with tougher tests ahead, I don't see how they stop Ohio State at all next week. But at the very least, thank goodness they beat Purdue.
I like
They're the
numbers
Chicago
on Luke
Bruisers of the 21st century.
I like the yards per completion for Luke Altmaier in this game. 19 for 22, 390 yards.
Mm-hmm. Average.
I mean, Ohio State's given up 25 points this year. So something's got to give there next week.
Yep. The Virginia Cavaliers, they continue their role, taking down Louisville 30-27 in overtime. Virginia ranked for the first time in God knows how long.
George Welsh, Mr. Excitement.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Hey, I mean, look, good on Virginia. You find a hole. The hole's not there in the A gap. You go to the B gap. B gap hole isn't there. Go to the C gap. That's what Virginia's doing right now. Literally, it's like, okay, not here, not here. Oh, there's a door. Then you go in that door, and that's why you're ranked. Taking advantage of everybody else is losing right now in your schedule. You can sit there and make that run. Your top 25, good on you. Good run in Charlottesville.
And speaking of disappointing, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Disappointment Bowl. Clemson traveling to Chapel Hill to take on the Fighting Belichicks of North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And this game was over by the end of the first quarter. Clemson up 28-3. The Tar Heels with a garbage time touchdown just to make it 38-10.
Bad.
Is Bill Belichick out of his league here?
Yeah.
I'm going to switch up to Katie so she can say what she thinks about Belichick.
That's what you get for dating your granddaughter.
Boom.
Is he officially in the category beleaguered at this point?
Oh,
I mean, look, you had what, 42 players come in, whether it was through nil or through the portal, and you're getting nil out of them, obviously, right now. But that's the thing. It's like when you have half of your roster that is new, there is that expectation of, okay, it's going to take some time to get adjusted to things. And when you're bringing in all these different dudes from all these different places with a first year coaching staff, it's going to be like this. And what I'm interested in with the director of player personnel and the head coach and the head coach in waiting, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, how'd you do? How'd you do? What do you do to respond to this? How many of these players that are in, because remember, these are just 1 year contracts. How many of these players are staying? How many of them are getting blown out? How many of them are returning next year? What's the philosophy going to be like next year? For me, this is a construction site. This is that big shiny office building that is being built in the middle of nowhere, and everybody's sitting there going, "Well, gee, the real estate must have been really cheap to get all this acreage and figure out what's going on." I want to see this contract make it to year number 2 and see how this building continues to look. I'm intrigued by this season is done for UNC. It's done. Look, just focus on yourself. Go to 500, maybe get a bowl, and then people get to sit there and see Bill Belichick before Christmas sit there and complain about being in like Memphis or
That
Nashville or
stadium
something.
was Keenan Stadium was 2/3 empty by the time that game ended.
They were leaving in the second quarter. I'm serious. Look, it was like a soccer match in Britain. They were out in the second quarter. It was that bad.
you think Belichick will be there next year?
His son will.
There will be a Belichick there next year. It's just a matter of which one. I
Correct.
think he might try a second season just to see if he can actually salvage some dignity out of it, but I wouldn't go up anywhere past that.
Yeah. It's about brand building right now.
Um, Moving on, good game down in Waco, Texas yesterday afternoon.
Take the
Uh,
over.
Baylor gets the win over Kansas State 35-34 thanks to a blocked field goal at the buzzer. And this was shortly after Baylor kicked a 53-yard field goal with 31 seconds to go to get the lead. They hold off the Wildcats, who dropped to 2-4 in the Big 12. Baylor goes to 4-2. It's a pretty exciting game there.
This game was, believe it or not, this was just outside football on a budget range to go see this game in Waco. Literally, it was a dog and a brew to go see this game this weekend, and you would have gotten your money's worth.
What a nightmare season for Kansas State starting over in Dublin. And I don't know if they've recovered.
Yeah.
They had a
No.
big lead in this. Yeah, and nothing has gone right this year for them.
2-4, and the lesson is don't ever go play in Ireland.
Want to mention this next game just because of the statistical numbers that go along with it. Navy and Air Force, and believe it or not, this ended up being an aerial show.
This was the game of the early afternoon slate. This was the best one on the board.
It was crazy.
Navy quarterback Blake Horvath, 20 for 26, 339, 3 touchdowns passing, 17 carries for 130 yards and another touchdown.
This is why we talked about Blake Horvath last year for the trophy in New York City. Drew Cronick.
Wait a minute, John. Navy receiver Eli Heidenreich, 8
Oh yeah,
catches, 243 yards in all 3 of the touchdowns.
yeah. Well, and the marker was set early when the first pass from scrimmage, and the video's out there. Heidenreich goes on a fly route, and literally he is just doing a vert. And he catches the ball. He turns. He's behind the defensive back. The defensive back is trying to muscle him off the ball. Heidenreich turns, reaches behind himself, and he grabs it with one arm as he's falling to the ground. That was the early catch and the early idea that this was going to be one of those days. And Drew Cronick has come from Mercer University in the SoCon in the FCS, and he has brought this new flex bone, wishbone passing offense, kind of a hybrid thing. I mean, this would be probably the football equivalent of the VW thing. You don't know what it is. Is it a sedan? Is it a hatchback? Is it an SUV? You don't know. It looks like none of them,
It's the
but
new
it's
rage
still,
in vehicles, a crossover.
yes, it is a crossover. And so seeing what Drew Cronick has brought from Mercer to Navy is creating headaches for the rest of the planet, and they still haven't caught up to this.
And that's not a bad thing because it makes them for some entertaining football.
Blake Horvath for New York City, saying it right here.
Right now, he's kind of the OSG leader in the clubhouse in our scale of who should be winning the Heisman. He may not get picked just because he doesn't play for a high-profile program. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be.
He's the man.
As we wrap up things here in the first block of the show, I just want to mention a couple of other things. Come back to the day, the Washington Huskies scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to overcome a 20-3 deficit. They end up beating Maryland 24-20 in what could only be called an epic collapse.
Another case where incredible to travel from Seattle to outside of Baltimore, DC, to win that game. That's a separator in a league where traveling cross country doesn't yield many wins.
Both now 4-1. I didn't have Maryland at 4-1 at this point of the season, but a good win for the Husky Navy, and they're leaving with some good crap.
Yeah, this is the point. Saw a statistic this morning. Maryland, arguably one of the best teams in college football in October, and statistically one of the worst teams in college football in November and December.
Check.
That so far ringing true. Want to wrap things up with one other game that I mentioned. It's a loss for Georgia State, but a good game. James Madison gets the win over the Panthers in Atlanta, 14-7. Did not see that one being that close.
No, Del McGee is working very, very hard to turn that program around. You knew that this year was going to have growing pains in it, and I think that this is a good indicator for the defense that Dell is trying to put together there right now in the Fun Belt. So keep an eye on it. Be patient with Del McGee. I hope that Georgia State is, because Dell's a great recruiter. He's linked to the Southeast, so he knows where all that talent is. I've seen Dell at a couple of games already this season on Friday nights. He knows where to look. He knows where the talent is that's going to the higher Power Fours. Time for him to take advantage of the talent in the Southeast in the Group of Five. A good signature statement for the future, hopefully, for Del McGee and GSU.
Big shout out to UNLV. Believe it or not, Dan Mullen has the Ronin Rebels at 5-0 after a 31-17 win at Wyoming in the snow.
No, it was hail.
Oh, it was
hail? Hail. That was a hailstorm in Laramie.
Oh my God.
It was a hailstorm.
It looks like a game in New England or Buffalo in December.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And I mean, it literally nothing was happening in Laramie, and then all of a sudden, and you see what happened. Now, that was a hailstorm. And I figure Dan Mullen stays at UNLV until it actually is proven that UNLV doesn't have the money in their athletic budget that they say that they've got, and then he leaves and goes someplace else.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just saying.
Guys, I think this is going to wrap it up here for the first half of the show. Recording in progress.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You have made it to the second half of the show. And
Please
guys,
like and subscribe.
Yeah, didn't get to flash that up there at the end of the first block because Zoom didn't give us a timeout thing, so we kind of timed out.
Damn Zoom.
We got a full week of college football this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday games before we get to Saturday. None of them are particularly interesting, but we do have a full slate.
Well, this is we don't get Maction on Tuesdays yet. We're in like we're still in the we're like in the Liberty, UTEP, Missouri State, Middle Tennessee Fun Belt stage.
Yeah, we got Fun Belt Wednesdays. For lack of a better idea of what to call it.
Well, we'll figure it out.
But we do have a busy slate on Saturday, and we'll start things off with probably the game that's going to be your highlight game of the weekend. Ohio State travels to Illinois to take on the Fighting Illini, Mr. Fox.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this begins and ends with Illinois being able to run the ball or not. Because if they can't, and they have no way to stay on have their offense on the field, they're going to get blown out. They might make it competitive if they can have the ball 35 to 40 minutes, and we'll see. They're going to need a lot of help from Ohio State, but who knows?
Well, I will ask the question: will home field have an impact on this one?
Only if things happen like that. Mysteriously, the power goes out in the hotel the night before, or something to that effect, which has happened. So I wouldn't rule any of that out. So we'll see.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Get in price $129, by the way.
Yes. Not an easy game to get a ticket to down in Champaign, Illinois. Your 12 o'clock game on ABC. Alabama traveling to Columbia, Missouri to take on the Tigers in an intriguing matchup because the Tigers have some game.
Yeah, I'm tempted with a get-in price at Como to be $188. I'm tempted to take the points here, and I'm thinking it's going to be probably another quarter and a half for Alabama to wake up. I think that if Missouri can get on the board early and have Alabama on their heels, they've got a chance. But I think at the end of the day, I'll take the points and probably the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alabama. I still think Ty Simpson's the best quarterback right now in college football and
Blake Horvath
has been playing like it. Simpson being the most NFL-ready quarterback on the board at this point, and probably a first-round draft pick if he chooses to go out into the draft.
Well,
Just so you know, at the moment, Katie is skillfully navigated around the Capitol in Pennsylvania, downtown Harrisburg, as you were talking. So there's still a lot of very upset people here. As you can see, anger on the streets because of what happened yesterday in LA. But
yes, we sense the anger from outside of your vehicle. We sense that aura. That's what that shine is coming over your shoulder, is the aura of anger from Penn State.
Yes. Agreed. Sorry, continue on.
And the angst is just oozing into the sky there.
You.
No
Sounds
question.
like a doctor's appointment.
Some other big games this weekend.
Stanford and SMU, $9.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I'm not going to talk about Pittsburgh and Florida State because I don't need to. But at 3:30 on CBS, Indiana travels out to Oregon to take on the Ducks.
Ooh. I got to go with Oregon and the points. Yeah, I'll
Does
take the
Fernando
over.
Mendoza have another miracle in him?
No. No, I got to go with Oregon on the points here.
We're going to see Indiana looks like a legit playoff contender. We're going to see where they stand legitimately in the national conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's about as tough as it gets out there.
Prove it or lose it here in that game. Also at 3:30 on ABC, the Red River rivalry shootout,
You go ahead and
Oklahoma
say
and
it.
Texas at
Oh,
the Cotton Bowl.
Be great pictures. Don't know if it'll be a great game.
Mm, I like Oklahoma in this game. I think they've got a little bit
They
more
don't have
rounded of a
Mateer.
team.
They don't
I,
have Mateer though.
even without John Mateer at quarterback, they've got enough of an offense to score on Texas. Texas is still trying to figure out what they are, which
Yeah.
is an underachieving team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Mm,
I say
This
Oklahoma.
seems like
Anybody else?
mm.
this seems like a good spot for Texas. This is a chance to start salvaging their season. And without Oklahoma's quarterback, I don't know. This is sort of to me like the Florida game yesterday. That
Mm-hmm.
this is Texas's moment this season.
Agreed.
It seems to me. Yeah.
Put up or shut up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna find out if they really have anything at all to fight back. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Want to talk about this game only because it makes one of the teams bowl eligible. Virginia Tech traveling to Atlanta to take on the surprise team, one of the surprise teams this season, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Are
If
they
Georgia
really?
Tech gets the win, they go to 6-0 and they would be bowl eligible 6 weeks or 7 weeks into the season.
Good on them. Good work for Brent Key. Brent Key actually brought the Canary Yellow helicopter to the game that we were at Friday night, and he was looking at uh, two very talented bunches. And I think that Virginia Tech has responded well after getting your coach dismissed. But I think this one's Brent Key's. I think Tech takes care of business.
I mean, I don't follow the ACC as closely as you might, but I mean, does Georgia Tech have a legit chance to not only make it to the conference championship game, but actually close the deal and win it?
They could. I would not be surprised to see them playing Miami in the championship game, and they've got a puncher's chance. It's a good, solid football team on all ends of the field.
Yeah, Haynes King is definitely going to be one of the big indicators for Georgia Tech. And if that scenario does happen where Georgia Tech plays the low down dirty cheaters from the University of Coral Gables, the entire universe will be cheering for a bunch of engineers.
Yeah, going down the list of games here, um, Florida going to Texas A&M. We mentioned it in the first half of the show.
Yeah,
Um, I think Texas A&M's defense is going to be enough to hold Florida down. Look for the Aggies to win that game
I think so.
and reignite some of the questions surrounding the Florida program. Game that will be close to John's heart. Georgia traveling down to Jordan-Hare Stadium to take on Auburn.
Jordan Hare, get it right.
Um, Georgia should win that game. There's no
Mhm.
guarantee they will win that game.
Well, no, there is a guarantee. If you force Jackson Arnold to beat you with his arm, then you'll have it a lot easier. And I think that's what Georgia's going to do. I think it's going to be a long day for Auburn. And
However,
I will
that
be there. So I will be in a hotel room again next Sunday to talk about that game.
Yeah, however, pass defense is the weakness of this Georgia Bulldog team, as we've seen in the last couple of games. They can be beat.
Pass rush, however, I don't think so. And I think that they probably will sack Jackson Arnold at least 5 times on next Saturday. That's my stat of the day. 5 sacks. My anticipatory stat of the day, 5 sacks.
Um, Not really seeing a whole lot else other than maybe Michigan traveling to the Coliseum to take on, or not the Coliseum, to the Rose Bowl to take on USC.
If it's the Rose Bowl, it better be UCLA. It's the Mausoleum at USC.
I had that backwards. Sorry, I got my
US. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I mean, USC with a week off, Michigan traveling out there. Would be a good spot for USC to.
40 years ago, this was a great game. I'm saying that a lot
Mhm.
about the B1G this year.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, but USC's been a little bit better this year. They have shown some signs of life. Michigan, um, spotty at best, but they have played enough to win.
If
This
this
could be.
game was an office supply, it would be a manila folder, okay?
It it's whether USC can hold up against Michigan's run game will uh, determine a
Yeah,
lot of how the game flow there.
that's
Hmm.
always the question with the Trojans. Can they hold up on defense?
I don't want to know about a Trojan holding up, okay?
Oof.
You better hope it does. Um,
Hmm.
and I'll finish off with your football after dark. Utah State traveling out to Hawaii to take
Hawaii and
on
the
the Rainbow
points, take it and
Warriors at
run.
11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
And we know why that is too. You're ending your day on the right note. Clarence TC Ching, adjusted for inflation, go.
And that brings us to everybody's favorite segment and your wrap up to the show, college football on a budget. It's where we talk about
Yeah,
college
bud.
football games that you can go to for roughly the price of a soft drink, or maybe a little bit more now that, quite honestly, inflation seems to have hit the college football schedules. We don't have a whole lot of games that you can get into for under $10 anymore. Um, I'll start off with one of our Wednesday night games. Liberty goes down to the West Texas town of El Paso to take on UTEP at the Sun Bowl. You're getting price for that $14 on a Wednesday night.
Well, we'll see if Liberty can fall in love with a Mexican girl. Nighttime would find them in Rose's Cantina. Music would play and Felina would whirl. I'm going to go with UTEP.
In college.
I can't think of a place I would not want to be on a Wednesday night more than El Paso. So I'm going to pass on that
You're going to El Paso?
one. Correct.
Thank you.
Thursday night, we've got a game that's near and dear to my heart. Southern Miss traveling to Statesboro to take on Georgia Southern at Aladine Paulson Stadium. You're getting price $13 for that. I think I'm contractually obligated to say that I would go to that game just because I'm an alumni.
As you, yes, that is true. As an alumnus, yes, you are contractually obligated to say yes.
And it's a party town, so why not go there on a Thursday night for a game like that?
Hmm.
Yeah, Thursday night was always the night to be out and about in beautiful Statesboro, Georgia. Friday night, not really any super discounted games, so we'll kind of skip through that. We move on to Saturday, however, and your first fully under $10 game of the week. Stanford traveling to Gerald J. Ford Stadium to take on SMU. You're getting price for that one right now, 1 week out, or just about a week out. $9.
Ding, I'm in. Gives us a chance to go see Marty and do broadcasts from his studio.
Yeah,
Agreed.
never a bad thing when you have an opportunity to do that.
Mm-mm.
Uh, so many of these other games kind of expensive.
Yes, they are. It is football not on a budget this week more than anything else.
Like I said, I think inflation's caught up to our segment.
We've got
Um,
one. We've got one in one double A.
yeah, I'll go through a couple of the low price games here in D1, but they're double figures here.
Yes.
Miami of Ohio traveling to Akron to take on the Zippies. You're getting price for that one $16.
Um, if you haven't been, go. If you have, share the experience with somebody else and have them go.
Fall colors out in Ohio this time of year. It might be worth it just for that.
Yeah, that would be the excuse. And speaking of fall colors, UMass, or whatever you want to call them, arguably one of
Mm-hmm.
college football's worst programs over the last decade, travels to
Correct.
Kent State. You're getting price $17 at Dick's Stadium.
Too many jokes must not mock.
Yeah.
Moving on down the list here, a 3:30 kickoff at Reser Stadium in Oregon. Wake Forest at Oregon State. And ooh, that game sounds like it could be ugly.
Especially the week after App State beat Oregon State. Yeah,
I would
just
just for the novelty of hearing how someone got from Winston-Salem to Corvallis.
yes, that's
That's the most
true.
interesting part for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
if
absolutely
I were
true.
to go to that game, it would only be because it would be a chance to go back to Oregon and see Corvallis and see what it's like there.
Check.
Otherwise, not so much.
Nope.
Um, Old Dominion traveling to Marshall. You're getting priced there, $17 at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. Not bad.
No, if you've, like I said, Marshall is an experience that you need to have at least once in your bucket. So I would say if you haven't gone, go. If you have gone, share it with somebody else.
We've had a good run in West Virginia this year, so I'll say absolutely go to
There you
Marshall.
go. There you go.
And what appears to be the last of the FBS games that even come close to fitting into our category here.
Yeah.
UAB traveling to Florida Atlantic. You're getting priced there, $17 at Flagler Credit Union Stadium in beautiful Boca Raton.
Because you get to go to Boca, obviously. If Trent Dilfer survives this week, then maybe you get to see him on the road for one more week, work on what might be left of his career at UAB. So I would say, yes, if you're interested in possibly seeing your favorite team send another coach to a job other than the one he currently has.
Or back to the ESPN broadcast booth.
True. I got two in FCS for you, $11 each.
Okay, what you got?
Howard and Sacred Heart, $11 at the campus field in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Hmm.
We haven't been there this year, so it's a ding for me.
Yeah, that could definitely be interesting.
And then
I
when
like
that
that
game
idea.
is when that game is over, you fly to Ogden, Utah,
Oof.
and for $11, Sacramento State at Weber State, 8 o'clock Eastern kick, $11, Stewart Stadium, Ogden, Utah. Ding, we haven't been there this
Yeah, that's a big road trip, though. Getting
year.
from
Well, if you just get in
Connecticut
your
to Utah.
transmogrifier, then you're okay.
Yeah, for getting from Connecticut to Utah, I think you couldn't even make up for the time change on that flight. But it's a good
Nope.
thought.
I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to expand everybody's horizons when it comes to these kinds of things. And if you are a Division II, Division III, or NAIA school, let us know. Let us know the games that we are missing when it comes to football on a budget, because our data ends at the FCS level.
Yeah, there's really not that much else to talk about this week in college football. It was somewhat of an uneventful week.
Oh, uneventful, he says.
Yeah,
Oof.
unless your team lost, of course.
Thank you.
Not a whole lot of just general kind of news to talk about.
No, somebody will get fired after we're finished taping.
Yes, because we are 3 for 3 in that category. I'm not sure this week who that person would be.
Trent Dilfer, UAB.
They've won 2 games, so I think that might be enough to at least hold it off for maybe.
You lost to a 1-4 team in Army at home, and it wasn't that close. You got a sad touchdown at the end. Keep an eye on UAB. Yes, that. I think it's time to say goodnight, Phil.
Yeah, I think it's time to say goodbye to all our family. For Brother John, for Brother John Fox, I am Brother Phil. We are the OSG sports team. Hopefully, Marty will be back with us next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great college football week, and we will be back with you next week to talk about what happens right here on The Review. It's The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe and watch us in the midweek.
You are listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.